Hey everyone, if you're thinking about putting on a hydraulic top link on your tractor, stick around for this video and I'll explain and go through the steps on my Kubota MX 5400. Hey everyone, welcome back to Up North with the Nybergs. Ed here. Today's project is I'm going to install a hydraulic top link on my Kubota MX 5400. And I've had this tractor now for going on 3 years now. And I've always wanted to install one. They're not that difficult to do it. They're really good for if you're doing any type of box blade work, or if you are using your brush hog or rotary cutter to do some work. It's really nice to be able to have that flexibility while you're sitting on the station or driving the tractor, to be able to do that from the seat versus getting off and changing it depending on what you're trying to accomplish. And I have a lot of uneven terrain here that I'm working with, so having a cylinder, hydraulic cylinder like this, is really going to be very helpful and make my life a lot easier. I couldn't add one before because I didn't have a rear remote, and I actually made a video on that as well, so consider checking that out as well. Now that I have a rear remote, I can then move and get a hydraulic top link. And I got this kit from my local dealership. There's a lot of them, aftermarket ones you can get. You can get online and find them pretty much everywhere, but I decided I was in a hurry because we want to do some work out at the cidery property. We want to do some driveway work with the box blade, and it's very uneven out there, and so I didn't have a whole lot of time to wait. So I went out to my dealership and asked them if they had a kit, and they kind of did. They had the cylinder, of course, and then they were able to create a couple hoses while I was there with the correct fittings. And so I decided just to go ahead and get those. And you can certainly get them a lot cheaper than going to the dealership. They've never steered me wrong so far, so I thought I would support the local dealership as well and get this. I probably paid maybe $100 more than getting it online, but this is a really heavy-duty one. It's a 3x8 cylinder, and I think I'm not going to run into any implement that I'm not going to be able to utilize with this hydraulic top link. So stick around, and we'll get to it and put it together. Okay, now I moved over to my workbench, and I apologize for the mess. It always seems like I have 2 or 3 or 4 or sometimes 6 projects that I'm working on all at the same time, and something always gets in the way. And so this one is the one that I'm going to work on this weekend, because I want to utilize the top link in the tractor over at the cidery, as I mentioned. So what we've got here, I've got it sitting in my vise, and the reason I have it here is I need to remove these set screws. The cylinder already has hydraulic fluid in it, but I need to have it sitting up so that I can remove these set screws and then put these 90-degree connectors on where the set screw was. And so this is, I'm not 100% sure where I want these. It's either going to be something like this. I don't know if you can see that or not. So remember, this is going to be on its side. You can see the connector here. It's going to be twisted for 90 degrees. And so these connectors need to be in a position where they're not going to get in the way of the actual movement of the cylinder or moving anything else on the rear of the tractor. So I've never done this before, and I've looked at some. I'm not 100% sure the orientation yet that I think is going to work for my setup. So it's going to be either something like this, where it's pointed down, and then these will come up like this over to the connector, the rear remote, or I may elect to do it this way, go 180 degrees and have it come out this way to the rear remote. Probably not. I'm thinking I'm hesitant to do it this way, which is pointing directly towards the tractor, because I just feel this might be the way that I end up doing it, as long as I can keep these hoses out of the way. So I'm going to play around with that a little bit and see what is the best orientation of these 90-degree connectors and see which works best. You know, a couple things I have to take into consideration. The length of the hose, they gave me a 18-inch and a 20-inch. So obviously the 20-inch is going to go to the rear of the cylinder, and the 18-inch is going to go to the top one. So I just have to play around with it and see exactly which orientation is going to work best. So I'm going to work on that right now. I've got some thread seal tape that I'm going to utilize, get these two taken off, and add the 90-degree connectors, take it over there, and just kind of see which orientation I like best. So stick around while I do that. Okay, I've decided, at least at the very beginning, I'm going to put the orientation like this. Remember, this is going to be turned sideways 90 degrees this way, and so these are going to be coming up. And so I think that's going to give me enough clearance. I'll be able to get the hoses out of the way this way. I may change my mind after I utilize it. Maybe even after I initially put it on, I may change my mind. But it's not hard to change the orientation of these. It's pretty simple, actually. You just undo this nut right here, and you can just adjust them where you want them. But right now they're in there pretty tight, ready to go. Now I need to just put the connectors on here. I'm using some pressure tape, thread tape. And I really need to get these on really, really tight, and then do the same for this side. And I should be ready to go to give it a try and see if my orientation is correct. Like I said, I've never ever done this before, and I'm sure there's experts or people out there that do this on a daily basis. So if I can learn something, I'm certainly all ears. So if you see a better way, please put a comment in the comment section down below. But like I said, this is my first time doing this and making this. So far so good. So we'll see if it works. first hose went on with no issues, but the second hose, I had an issue with it. Actually, this 90-degree fitting failed on me, and so I had to get this replaced. And it was either a combination of me just torquing it down too hard, or just putting a little too much muscle into it to make sure that it was seated correctly, or this was a bad part. I took it to the dealership to get this replaced. Unfortunately, I did not get extra ones of these, which for now on I think I'm going to. I did pick up a couple more here. He actually gave them to me free because he didn't think that this should have failed. And so what ended up happening is when I tightened this hose on here and screwed everything really good and tight, it just never felt like it was seating, and it just kept spinning and spinning. And so what ended up happening is it pulled away from this connector, or this L adapter connector. This piece right here ended up coming completely off. Obviously, that's not what you want. So I ended up getting this replaced. So if you are doing this by hand, or you're putting this kit together, certainly think about getting some extra fittings, because you never know if you get a bad one or if you do something dumb and ruin it. All right, now I've got both hoses connected, ready to go. I've got the attachments on, ready to go. And now I just need to take it over to the tractor and make sure that everything is aligned the way that I want it. And hopefully we'll be in good shape here. All right, after fighting with it a little bit, it seems to be ready to test. I've got a nice good connection here. Everything looks good. And I think what I'm going to do is take it out of my red barn here, and I don't know what's worse, outside, or putting something underneath in case I've got any leaks at all with this. So let's give it a whirl, keep our fingers crossed, and hope for the best. I do see a little bit of puddle underneath, leaking a little tiny bit. And so what I'm going to do, and it looks like it's just this hose right here. Let's see here. Let's see if, yeah, it's just a little tiny leak right here. So what I'm going to do is take this off and reseat this to make sure that I've got it good and tight, and hopefully that takes care of it, because it looks like it's coming from, I don't know if you can see that, but it looks like it's coming from this adapter right here. This one here is completely dry. Everything's dry here. Everything's dry. It's just right there. So I'll get after that and take that off and tighten that up. All right, this is not leaking, and I know you're gonna laugh at me, which is okay, but what I did is I originally put this one together, had everything ready to go on this one, and then when I had the issue with the adapter, the 90-degree adapter here, I left this off and I only hand tightened this, waiting for this replacement part. And so when I took this off, I hand tightened it pretty well. I mean, it held and leaked a little bit, but you know, to be under that much pressure, it was pretty amazing that I didn't get spray everywhere of hydraulic fluid. But anyway, I tightened this back up, and as you can see, I've got no leaking issues, and it works really, really well. So I'm pretty excited. Other than the bonehead move that I did, it is pretty much ready to go. So I'm going to put my quick hitch on, and it's ready to utilize this weekend out at the property to do a little bit of driveway work. So let's get that on. All right, well, I've got the quick hitch on, and I think I've secured the leak, so we should be good to go. I do have to make a couple adjustments on the 3-point system just so I have a little more flexibility on it, but for the most part, that's it. I think I paid a little over $400, I think $425 is what it was, for this system that I got from the dealership. I know you can get it a lot cheaper online, so certainly shop around, but I'm really happy with this. I think it's going to work out great for me. So tomorrow I'm going to be using the box blade, and having this hydraulic top link is really, really going to come in handy for that particular job. We're going to be working over at the cidery property and doing some work on the driveway. So this is really, really going to come in handy having that. But if you have any comments or questions, or if you see something that I did wrong that I can improve upon, certainly let me know. I'm certainly a novice when it comes to hydraulic systems, so any pointers that you have, I'm all ears. But in any event, if you do have any comments or questions, leave them below, and I'll try and get to them as quick as I can. As always, we really appreciate you supporting the channel and watching all the videos. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing. That's awesome. It makes it worthwhile to spend the time and effort to videotape everything. So I really, really appreciate you supporting the channel and subscribing. But until the next video, this is Ed with Up North with the Nybergs, and we'll see you real soon.